What's up, fellow lords of gaming, and welcome back to the channel. All right, guys, so I want to get into some Dune Awakening. I've been playing the hell out of this game. I'm not exactly sure how many hours I've got in, but I know I have been playing the hell out of it. I think I'm probably close to like 60 hours into this game, and we finally got our real first patch that I think they've been a lot of micro hot fixes, and I want to go over some of the patch notes today because they do address one of the major issues inside the game currently, and that's the PvP zone. So let's jump in. Let's talk about it. So we've had a number of, like I said, small hot fixes. They've planned that they're going to continue to do these hot fixes for the game over the course of the next coming months, likely probably into August before we get our next major update for the game probably. But we've gotten a whole lot of like mostly stability type server improvements. To be honest with you, I haven't noticed too bad. There's been moments where we've gotten a lot of rubber banding in certain areas, but by and large, for a game of this scope and in this genre, it's got its janks, it's got its bugs, and I'm happy that they're working towards it continually and they're giving us these little patches that they're deploying. But it's not really been that bad. So we get our first real patch, I guess, we're here on June 18th, and we're at 1.1.0115. And the biggest change in the patch comes with one of the biggest concerns people have for deep desert and PvP zone activity. So here we have the respawn timeouts for PvP zones were adjusted. The first respawn will take 70 seconds. Second and following respawns will take 115 seconds. So essentially that's a 1 minute respawn that they basically have. And then they push this out to basically a two minute respawn. I don't think this is enough. In perfect fairness, I feel like this is a lack of balance within the game. When we talk about the deep desert, when we talk about PvP zones, what you're trying to prevent, especially in these games, is Zerg rush. That's what you're going to have all the time. If I'm having to deal with people and I literally take them out, they should be removed from the scape of the battle. That's the bottom line. The battle should be a battle of contrition. If you bring 30, 40 guys to the fight and I only got 20 guys, but I'm more skilled than you, it shouldn't be a matter of you being able to bring those guys back within a minute because you're surviving the attack there. The time to kill in the game alone it has a very big window. So basically saying a minute is not enough. In a minute, I could basically have the battlefield run around. I feel like this needs to be a game of contrition. There needs to be timed events for PvP inside the game centered around major things like major spice blows, major ships down, and large raid type area dungeons inside the deep desert. And then you can say, like, if someone comes in and they die because their ornithopter goes down or something like that, they can't respawn back into the zone to help out with the Zerg within a minute. The time to kill alone says that a minute's not enough. They should just be removed from that battle and being able to participate in the battle so we can have attrition. That's what it needs to be. But that's my feelings. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Next up, you can see here the DS Ornithopter Engine Mark V schematic was removed from loot tables, so it was a deprecated item. Players no longer are going to be receiving damage when hit by vehicles. Okay, so I don't necessarily agree with this. I do believe that players should be hit with vehicles. Like if I'm driving around and I've got my buggy and I run you down, then you should be affected by the rundown damage the same way the NPCs are. The problem is the PvP, again, where this comes into play, where you didn't do a good enough job in structuring the deep desert PvP zones, and it's basically become ornithopter battles in the deep desert, Zerg rush ornithopters, and then people getting downed and being able to use their ornithopters as if though they were battering rams, regardless of the fact that the vehicles themselves are not taking enough damage from this feature. It's kind of like one of the most unimmersive aspects of the game to me is that I can drive my buggy, I can drive my my sand bike off a cliff. I can yeet myself off a cliff and take no damage whatsoever. That breaks from the immersion. If you're going to go through the rigor of building the game where all of these small little immersive effects are going to affect the game in major ways and you don't want to deviate from those, then at the very least, force players into a skill-based system. If the ornithopters were able to take damage from ground units, and the ornithopters took damage from clipping into objects or clipping into the ground, you force a skill of amongst those players who want to be in those things. Because now, if they clip into another ornithopter of their own players because they're zerging with these ornithopters, or they clip into a mountain or something like that and their thing takes some damage, that's where it should be. It shouldn't necessarily be that. That's very realistic, that if you're on the ground and I've got an ornithopter and I ram you with the ornithopter, well, guess what? I might want to clip you with the blade, and I might try to be more careful instead of saying I'm just going to ram my ornithopter. So I think this, in my opinion, is just players no longer receive damage when hit by vehicles. It's the wrong adjustment. It's just that vehicles should receive damage from terrain. That's it. Put that in there. Force the skill. I get that it might piss a lot of people off, but force the skill. Let me know, again, what you think in the comment section. So you can see here next, since the unstuck feature doesn't work for vehicles, and when the player is on the overland map, the unstuck button won't show when the player is on or in a vehicle or on the overland map. Peace. Service messages like server restart alerts now appear at the upper central part of the screen for better visibility. It used to be in the upper right corner. I was able to see this, and I'm on an ultra wide monitor. I don't know why that was such an issue. An additional safeguard was added when a player respawns across the maps. Players now need to manually type respawn into the confirmation pop-up field. I think this is likely to just piss off players more. Everybody's already pissed off with the mechanic of having to hold things down. Like, you have to hold something down for just about every damn action, and players are already pissed off with that. Adding in something like this where it's just another layer of having to respawn doesn't seem like the best UI UX design development. Like, maybe that's just me. When players select the private server I can't speak. When players select the private server tabs in the server browser, they will receive a pop-up notification. Cool. I don't know why. Another set of changes to further improve the game server and client stability. Hopefully we just see a little bit of reduction in the clipping that, or the rubber banding that's there, because otherwise it's been pretty fine in my opinion. They fixed an issue where the game client could freeze when a player attempted to cross the deep desert server border. They fixed an issue where players who shared their base access with friends could not sometimes abandon their base via map marker. That's highly important, obviously, because I want to make sure that I have players that are effectively, you know, getting benefited from having shared bases but not being able to abandon your base, because kind of asinine. But fixed an issue that caused the dart trails from the Mauler pistols sometimes deviate from the intended direction, whatever that is. They fixed the issue where the Atreides leader that the player needed to kill in the advanced contract, Mintak cataloging defectors contract, respawned immediately. I am on that quest now, so I'm glad that it was fixed, because I didn't want to run into it. They fixed an issue where that causes a possible crash when restoring a vehicle with the vehicle backup tool. I have noticed this once or twice inside the game, but not anything to like detriment or anything like that. It crashed the game, but it wasn't like, I didn't care. It wasn't like in some place where I was ultimately worried about it, so it was cool. Fixed an issue that made it possible to move crisp knives into storage containers by swapping them with other items. I don't even have a crisp knife yet. I've been trying my best to avoid getting eaten by a worm. They fixed an issue causing the Lance Rad refining time reduction bonus not to apply if multiple instances of the same resource were being refined simultaneously. The Lance Rad system needs a major overhaul and rework. That's the bottom line. I think most players will tell you, like, mixed with the PvP interactivity and then the Lance Rat objectives, it needs an overhaul. The thing that pissed me off about the Lance Rat and the PvP stuff, and while I've been slow to even get to the deep desert, especially as a solo player, is essentially the idea that when we got into this, right, players had already had problems with how this was going to present. Meaning, players were already worried about the deep desert, and it was brought up multiple times inside of the stream QAs and inside the betas, and there was just an absolute smugness about it would work itself out. And to date, it just hasn't worked itself out. So all of the issues I think that you see from all of the streamers who are spending an inordinate amount of time with the game. You're talking about players who have upwards of 200 to 300 hours inside the game because they just have that time. I stream and I play the game, but I only do so at like maybe a 4 to 5 hour clip, and that's in the evenings in my investment time, because I do other things like go to the gym and work out and you know, go try restaurants and things like that. I touch grass essentially, right? There's no way I could put 300 hours in, and the game's only been out what, 13 days at this point. It's not even been out 2 weeks. Like, you do the math on that one, that's a lot of time. So, but I do agree with them, however, that these systems that they've been complaining about it for a while, because some of these players were playing this game for hundreds of hours into the closed betas, and they recognized these issues. They promoted these things as issues, and they just got ignored. And so here we are with the game unleashed, and we're still having those issues, and they want them fixed. And so I don't disagree. They fixed an issue that could cause the player to lose Solaris deposited in the bank. I have been so nervous about this issue, so I'm happy that they fixed it. I've literally been storing my Solaris inside of my storage containers because I saw players have that issue, and I was really worried about it. So now I can go deposit my Solaris, and hopefully that'll solve the issue. The issue's been solved. They fixed an issue where service alert notifications would not show due to being blocked by other notifications. Not noticed that. They fixed an issue where exiting the dialogue with Anson Tolliver too soon after delivering the deep extraction contract would block the player from progressing the faction storyline. I have noticed this on more than one occasion. It seems like for some reason you'll click on one of the queues and then it just skips, and you might like click on something at the top and then it'll just register, and then you end up having to try to like you're stuck like and have to reload the game or something like that. That's what worked for me anyways. They fixed an exploit where players could damage other players' bases with cutter ray. I don't see why that's a problem, right? They fixed an issue where research journey steps would get completed retroactively if the player was in a vehicle when performing research. Logging out and back into the game was needed to fix the issue. I noticed this one specifically early in the game when we were still in Haga Basin South, so cool that they fixed it. They fixed an exploit causing people to be able to take out water from a death still that did not exist in the base. Didn't see that one either. And they fixed an exploit where players could fire a salvo of projectiles. I don't know what that one is either. So those are all the updates to the Dune Awakening game. I'm still having a whole lot of fun with this game. Can't wait for my boy Birdie to jump in and join me inside this, so maybe we can do some duos and get out to the deep desert. Otherwise, I'll still be playing solo, and I'll stream some content for you guys on that one. Go check me out on Twitch. I'll be streaming from 6 to 10 on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sundays. If I'm not around, then I'll probably stream on another day. I've been trying to just stream as much as possible there. Unfortunately, can't do it over here on YouTube because of Starlink connections and stuff like that. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time, guys, peace.